Hello, my name is John Burford, here representing VICRT here in the U.S., our North America office, and we had a little bit of trouble getting started, getting the chat up and running. But we are up and running now, and if we have any viewers with questions, feel free to put it in the chat, and I will be happy to answer questions. So in the meantime, I'm just going to kind of talk a little bit. My name is John Burford, here in the U.S. or the office. Oops, got some we had a little feedback getting started, getting the chat up and running. Sorry, had a second session running that was giving us a little feedback. As you may be aware, this is my first time doing a live chat, so I'm learning along the way. This is a lot of what Formula SAE is all about. Jump in and figure it out. So some of the first things I thought I would just kind of cover. In some of the other videos that we have available, I just kind of want to go through a couple of the resources that are available to you. First of all, this link to the download packages of the software, just in case you haven't gotten all of the competition files that we've sent out. The first link is to the software package that has all of the installation software, Car Real-Time, DrivSim. The initial release of our models was in here, the rules package. And then we did an update. This update has some of the road files. So the track that you'll be driving was in this later release of online package. So you want to make sure that if you just got the initial download package, you're going to want to come back and make sure you get the online competition files. So the next thing was Alessandro had also created a video on our channel here to go through the installation process and get the models running. So I wanted to add to that just one little comment that I think a lot of people kind of run into as a hiccup. Along with going through Alessandro's installation process, there's two settings that he doesn't really cover that need to be added for the models to run. So if you're at the point where you're ready to drive your model and you're having issues getting it to start, there's two settings in the CSV logging IODV section in DrivSim that need to be set. Logging mode 1 and circular buffer can be basically any real value. These are left blank in the initial installation, and the simulation won't go from run to pause unless you correct that issue. So that is, I'll just kind of do that in this. So this is the DrivSim installation that I have. Sections are logging, licensing, the Car Real-Time model, the UDP stream. So this is the data stream that gets sent to the graphics. And then in CSV section, there were CSV logging mode 1 and circular buffer 20. Make sure to set those so that you can get your model up and running. So as Alessandro covered in the video, you're going to select the USB input driving test. Um, you'll set your UDP IP address to your loopback adapter. Um, you can use either this default value, which will go to the operating system loopback adapter, or you can create one with a static IP address and then set these multicast group and port number to stream out to the graphics. And then you'll set your model and what road file you want to use. Over in VI controller, VI controller can be launched over by coming over to VI controller. And again, all of this is covered in Alessandro's video. I'm just going to go over it real quick. So you'll, when you have the software installed, there'll be a daemon that'll be running in the background, and you'll want to add a process to that daemon. That process will be a DrivSim process. You'll select what screen you want that graphics to be running on. So you can, if you've got multiple displays, select what display that's going to be on. And then this type onboard. So this is onboard is like your perspective is from in the car. These other options are looking sort of the car from the outside. Once you create that process, then you'll come down to the configuration and you'll create a configuration. You'll have that that configuration is basically pointing toward the process that you just created. And here's where you can start your graphics. So here you can see DrivSim has started. Let's see, let me jump out of that. All right, so I'm going to stop my DrivSim process. Usually I try not to have anything on the screen where DrivSim is running, because it just DrivSim is going to overlay on top of that and hide things from you. So from DrivSim, you've got your model selected, select what road you want. I'm going to say start that. That's in the paused state. Let's see, just real quickly here. Let me make sure to jump over the chat here. All right, so Nichols asked a question, is this live stream being recorded and be available on the YouTube channel? Yes, it is recorded. It'll be on the YouTube channel after the live stream's over. So you'll be able to take a look at this later on. Okay, so yeah, after I've selected the model, hit start in DrivSim, then I'm going to go over to guide controller and hit start. Again, I'm going to do this off on another screen so it doesn't hide my VI controller. So we'll see DrivSim come back up. Now, the venue that we're selected is proving ground. So this is basically just a big flat area, nothing really on it. But we would like to have something to drive around, to negotiate around, basically the track that you'll be driving as a part of the competition. So in your download package, you'll recognize this path. So the online package, which was the updated package, the second package that we released, in there you'll be going to assets, tracks, proving ground, And then this text file is basically like a cone or objects file. So this basically just overlays on top of the proving ground. It overlays on top of any track. If I had a different track selected, it would overlay these cones on top of that. So I'm going to load that. So now you can see we've got the objects on top of our proving ground track. Let's see. Yeah. So we had our simulation was running. We've selected DrivSim. We've turned on our graphics file, and so you can see I've got my steering wheel connected. And so we just start the simulation. Start Feel happy. So that's in short what you do to get the model up and running. Load your graphics and start driving. And so when you're done with your graphics, you come back to the VI controller and say stop process, and that's going to stop the DrivSim process. So okay, let's take a look at the chat real quick. So this is Emmanuel. Hello, we have a few doubts on what car data you exactly need to review for competition because it is sensible data and we do not want to give it away easily. What data do you need at least for verification and prove that your car is competition legal? Okay. So, I mean, we are not sharing any of your car data with any other team that's staying within high grade. I'm a competition judge. I've been design judging for Formula SAE for about 10 years now. So teams basically show me all of their data during the design events. So usually teams are not too concerned about sharing that data because we're not going to release that to any other team. Now, in the rules, we would like you to make your car as close to the real car as possible, but we have put some limits within the rules package. There's a section, I believe it's section 2 limits, where we discuss a few areas where the teams, if they are going to do something like build their own tire models, that there are going to be friction limits that they're going to put on those tire models so that the lateral G capability of the tire is limited to, I believe it was 1.4 mu, basically lateral load divided by normal load. Then we similarly did some things like that with the down force of the aerodynamics. So we would like you to make your data as realistic as possible. But if you're wanting to manipulate that data to be slightly different than your exact data, you're just going to have to stick within the limits that we've put there. Now, this is the first year that we've changed the competition from the students modifying a baseline model and optimizing it, optimizing an initial model. Essentially, in the past, you were given a model and made setup changes to a single configuration model. This year, we are opening it up to the students creating a model that is based off of their own real vehicle. So they're not just changing suspension tuning parameters. We're trying to get at how you're designing the fundamentals of your car. Over time, we as students submit cars, and we're going to start to see trends of what's realistic and what's not realistic. So over time, we're going to be able to catch people who are feeding us any kind of fictitious data or unrealistic data, whether that is by accident or intention. Most likely it'll just be accident. So, the better the data you give us, the better this competition will be as it goes forward. So we encourage you to submit the data that is close to your real car as possible. So, Emmanuel, I hope that gets to your question. And yes, it is confidential data. Yes, myself, I am design judge. Vince, who is also helping to run the competition in China, he is also a design judge in China. So we are both very familiar with seeing student data and keeping that confidential between the teams. So couple of other resources or items that may be useful to the teams. Let's see. So there's a Discord server. I believe that was in the initial package sent to all the teams. So there is a Discord channel. There's a general and a Simulink focused channel, so that if you have some questions, a community of people that are competing in virtual formula, some that have gone in the past, as well as some VI grade people, will be monitoring the Discord, so you can ask questions there. For example, I've uploaded a tutorial in the Simulink section. If you're wanting to see how you can integrate car real time with Simulink. In this particular case, I believe it was a co-simulation example. There is a tutorial here on the Discord server, so you can go to that PowerPoint presentation and go through how to integrate car real time and Simulink in a co-simulation approach. It's not the only way that you can integrate Simulink and car real time. There are several different options. For example, one is to build an S function and export that as either a DLL or executable that car real time can then call and use as a part of its model. This is most likely what teams will do if they're going to do any kind of controllers like brake controllers or traction control controllers. That's most likely how they will go about doing that. Okay, let's see here. And a couple of other resources I wanted to mention. There was another video. This, I believe, is it's not on the VI grade virtual formula channel. This is a video that I did as a part of the award ceremony for the 2020 virtual formula event. So it is sort of an A to Z video on Laptime Simulation. And so this kind of goes, more background into all the way into doing Laptime Simulation with hand calculations, up to doing Laptime Simulation with VI grades tool set and its professional level Laptime Simulation tools that are used by IndyCar teams, Formula One car teams. So it goes from everything from calculating a few things in an Excel spreadsheet up to as professional as you can get, Laptime Simulation. And it tries to just kind of go through different approaches that you can take for Laptime Simulation from sort of A to Z. This can give you a little bit better context as to where VICRT's Laptime Simulation tools, what they're trying to accomplish and what makes them different than other types of Laptime Simulation. Just very, very short, I'll say that there is doing hand calculations where you're adding together a lap by breaking a lap into individual hand calculation components, like acceleration from one point to another point, braking from one point to another point, constant radius turning, how much time are you going around a constant radius. You can somewhat break down a track into hand calculations like that, or you can do a point mass model where the software in the background is looking at the radius of curvature and determining what's the maximum velocity at that particular point of radius of curvature. That's what OptimG does. Or you can go to the full level of atoms simulation, where you've got all the components and links and etc. modeled in a multi-body dynamics model and then have it follow a path. Or you can go to the full Laptime Simulation possible with VICRT, where it runs a optimization of the vehicle dynamics model, trying out different paths, adjusting the velocity, adjusting the driver inputs to try and maximize a lap time to get the most out of the vehicle. So, I mean, those are kind of the different basic lap time simulation capabilities and where VICRT exists in that sort of hierarchy. So that was a little bit off topic on virtual formula competition, but it's also a part of learning about the tool set and what we're doing with VICRT. And as I mentioned, this presentation is on my personal channel, John Burford, and there is the. I'll see about putting a link to this in the description of this live chat in case anybody wants to take a look at it. So that again is one resource. The VICRT website is a resource. Create an account, register here. There is other materials that you can download, papers, and discussions about simulators that are on the website that are worth checking out. Again, the virtual formula, the updated, the original software package, the updated software packages. And in particularly, Alessandro put together a getting started video. This is on our Virtual Formula channel. Highly recommend checking this out. And so I kind of went through starting and driving a simulation. And so I would just kind of go back real quick and touch on something. As you go, part of what we hope the students will do as a part of this competition is get used to putting the driver in loop and doing driver training as a part of this competition. But one thing you may want to do, as I mentioned with VI Controller, that there was this objects file, and this objects file allowed you to place cones and so forth on a flat proving ground. So that is just a text file, and so you can create your own cones file of the formula student uh, competition or the Formula SAE competition are the ones at Michigan or the ones that are going to be in Europe. Usually the organizers will give an image or a PDF of the course ahead of time. And so what I've done here, and this is shown in that lap simulation video that I was talking about, I took the PDF file that SAE released to the teams, and I put that took that PDF file, put it in a CAD package, dropped a bunch of points on where they had put cones on that PDF file, and then exported that XY data into a text file and gave the cones a size. And that was my objects file. And so then that is basically the competition course that you can practice ahead of time. So you can essentially drive a competition course from the PDF that is released by the organizers ahead of time. So this particular track that you're watching right now is the 2019 Michigan Endurance Track. So these were all the cones that were in the PDF released by the endurance track event captains. Then in a CAD package, created XYZ, also created kind of a center line momentum path. You can see I'm not exactly following directly on it, but it was just sort of kind of give you an idea of where the course is supposed to be going, because some of the other visual cues, like the edge between the asphalt and the grass, is not visible here in our flat proving ground visual. So I kind of put in a rough center line to kind of give you an idea of where the course is supposed to be going. For the VI grade virtual formula competition, there's a lot more cones. That visual has red cones on one side and blue cones on the opposite side. So you got a lot more information as to where the course is supposed to be. And the cones are really close together. So we make it pretty obvious in the, let's see here, trying to bring that up real quick. Yeah, so you can see there's red cones on the left-hand side and blue cones on the right-hand side, and the spacing's pretty close together, so you can get an idea of where the track is supposed to go. And yeah, this is the track for the VI grade virtual formula competition. So this will be the track to practice. Some details about the operation of the virtual formula competition, what you're going to do to compete, to actually give us your lap. So the first thing is you're going to be submitting the models to us so that we can review them, that they're running properly and don't have any data outside the rules. Then we are going to, after we've reviewed those models, we are going to send the model back to you in what we call obfuscated mode. So obfuscation mode basically encrypts the data of the model. Professional race teams wanted this feature so that models could be shared with suppliers without giving away critical data. So once we've reviewed your model, we're giving you that model back in a form that you can't change. So that you'll get the model in obfuscated format. And when you go to run that model to make your fastest lap, what we're going to ask you to do is just with like your cell phone or something, or a web camera or something, you're going to zoom in on the files of your model, and we're going to want to see that the date is the date that we sent to you, that the model hasn't been, that you're using the models that we sent you, and that there hasn't been anything that was tried to be manipulated. So we're just going to have you kind of show in your computer that the models that we sent you by their date, and that's what you're using to do your lap with, and then just a video of the driver doing his lap, as well as probably a second screen capture so that we can see the lap in detail, just kind of like what you're seeing now on the screen, the driver's viewpoint of the run. So we're going to want to get both of those videos as your submission to the competition, and then we will do some processing to put some of the videos together, so that we can kind of put this into a little bit of a massaged and presentable event where we splice together the different laps from the different teams, and then go through and show who was the winner. But so yeah, that's what the submission is going to be like, is some videos to show what files you're using for your run, and then screen capture of the run itself. Stop the process here. Okay. Doesn't look like we have any more questions in the chat window. I do apologize for the late start. I had to figure a few things out, getting the chat going. So we'll go smoother in any future chats. We will likely do another live stream to go over in detail how to do the submission. So let's see. Got another question here. Can we have the format of the document of the test data, like engine, torque map, body, inertia, aero map you need for validation of the subsystems of our models? Okay, so what you're going to submit to us is the model database. So when you're in car roll time, so this is car roll time, and we've got different. This was sort of the baseline starting model to kind of give you guys a place to start from. So this model is what you're going to submit to us. So you've got, let me go to the directory. So that database, exists somewhere on your computer. I have a series of databases on my computer here, so you can see the model that was loaded here. This is VF 2020 VI Racer. So that model here is in my working here in my directory structure. I've got my databases. Here's my database. Basically, you're going to send us this database. So inside this database, you've got all the subsystem files, and you've got the model itself. This XML file. Let's see, where did that come up? Let's drag this over here. That XML file has all of the subsystems it pulls together, and some other information at a top level about some switches to turn on and off, etc. So you're basically going to be sending us this database, this whole database. So basically everything, and you may have a different name for it, whatever you're naming your model database is what you're going to send us. Some teams may have a lot of working models, working subsystems, iterations. You can clean that up by going and publishing a database. So under database utilities, you can go and publish a database. So you can select a particular model, and then you can tell it that you want to publish that to another database or another location. So one way you can do that is actually probably start off by going under preferences and databases, and you may want to create a new database. So you might create a new database and call it submission or your team name. Call it whatever that you want that would be recognizable to us. So you create a database and then go under utilities and get your model and then select that database that you created, publish it. So then it's just the subsystems and the model that's your final iteration in a single clean database. That's probably the best way to package it together and send us the model. I hope that answered your question. Feel free to ask any more questions to the virtual formula email address. Everybody should have that. virtualformula@vicrт.com. And let's see if there's not any more questions in the chat, then I will wrap up this live stream. Thank you for coming and watching the live stream, submitting your questions, and I'm looking forward to seeing your submissions. Thank you very much.